Here are my top 10 tips for having a cookout on your griddle. First tip is prepping ahead. So look, you got to prep ahead. Anything cold, do the night before. Lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, get that ready. If you're doing sides, do that the night before. Get those all ready. You want to be prepped ahead. You want to try to help yourself the day of. I don't always do this the best, but prep ahead. Speaking of that, also don't be afraid to delegate. Like, let someone else, just one person be in charge of the griddle cooking, and the other person can be in charge of setting up the table. I don't do this. I need to let stuff go. I need to let my wife just be in charge of, like, everybody bring it aside, talk to her. She's setting up plates, napkins, silverware, and just set that table up. I just need to worry about putting all the meat on the griddle. So maybe that's just a me thing. If you have any tips, by the way, put them down in the comments from things. I just want this to be as helpful as possible for people. So yeah, just kind of, you need to delegate, prep ahead, let things go. Another thing is overdoing it. So like the meal I'm showing you here, I'm just doing for like probably 8 to 10, but if you're having like 20 to 25, maybe don't do all this stuff like bacon and whatnot, which I'll go over that later, but maybe just stick to burgers and dogs. If you have 25 people coming over, don't do burgers, dogs, brats, sausages, and then your buddy brings a steak. It's like, hey, want to throw the steak on there too? It's like, maybe just kind of, if this is one of your first times, just keep it simple if you're having 20 to 25 people. If there's only 8 to 10, you can, spice it up a little bit. Speaking of prepping ahead, you need not just one, but the night before, double check that you have 2 propane tanks ready to go. Do you need to paint it to look like Hank Hill, Tank Hill, as I call him? No, that's just a me thing, because I love King of the Hill. But propane tanks are like a cooler of beer. When you're having a party, you always need a backup, because your cousin's not going to bring any beer, and then he's going to drink yours, and you got to have the extra in the garage that you don't tell him about. Anyway, that's a whole thing. I'm sure you have a friend who does the same thing. Number 3 is keeping things warm. You got a couple different options for this. So look, you can put it on the griddle in a foil pan to keep it warm. Also, what do we have over here? Maybe you have other grills, or a big green egg, or a regular gas grill, or a pellet grill. Use those as warmers. You can use those as warmers. Pellet grill is really just an oven, so you can get that between 180 and 200. If you have a gas grill, you could turn on one side and just maybe the left side and put all the food on the right side as you make more room to cook everything else on your griddle. Or just use your oven inside. Again, 180 to 200 is another option if you're using that inside to kind of keep things warm as they get done. And finally, crock pots. So obviously you're gonna put maybe your buffalo chicken dip or chili. Man, I hope you have chili at your cookout if I'm coming over. But use your crock pot. You can still put hot dogs, broth, sausages in there. Put a little bit of water, put it on low. You can put those in there. You can even put burgers in there, but with cheese and stuff, that's not going to be as ideal. But you can use a crock pot for your dogs and stuff, and get those done and cleared off before you move on to the next thing. Number 4 is bacon and onions. So I kind of went over this earlier. If you have a ton of people, maybe you don't do this, but if you're only doing 10 people, you got a griddle, let's do some bacon, right? I mean, that's what's different about the griddle from your grill or from your smoker. So like in this one, I put some bacon down as it was preheating, and I put 2 white onions down. The bacon, not only is it delicious, but it sets like a base layer of flavor for everything else you cook, okay? And so everything's getting cooked in bacon grease, and the onions are getting cooked in bacon grease. And like, who doesn't? You gonna put bacon on your burger? Absolutely. You wanna slide it in there with a hot dog? Why not? Someone brings a store-bought potato salad that's disgusting, crumble up some bacon and put it on top of it, huh? So do some bacon if you don't feel too overwhelmed, or if you're not having too many people. Onions, I always put down 2. It's just a griddle thing. You got a griddle. I even threw some green peppers down, but just put the onions down, keep flipping them, keep them in the corner, keep moving them, and then eventually, like, they're not quite caramelized, didn't go that long, but they're down a long time, 30, 40 minutes, and like you get like a rich color and just like a sauteed, griddled onion that is great on everything. Dogs, burgers, brats, whatever you want to put them on. So let the griddle do what it's good at. It's a great thing to add is bacon, onions, and maybe some peppers to your cookout on the griddle. So your hot dog, sometimes I like to slice the top of the hot dog on the diagonal just so like it doesn't explode on the end. It just kind of opens up a little bit and looks prettier. This is not going to change the taste of your hot dog at all whatsoever. It's just something I like to do because I think it makes it look pretty. Anyways, that's enough of that. A way you can do hot dogs is you can put water on your griddle, and you can kind of put them in the water and they'll start boiling to kind of cook through, even though I think you can eat a raw hot dog. It's like already cooked, but whatever. cook through. And maybe you have some kids or something that don't want a lot of color or grill marks or griddle marks on their hot dog. They want that like boiled, like I think of a baseball stadium or like a roller dog from a gas station. They just want that plain hot dog. You can give them that, or you can kind of warm them up in there, take them out, put them in that griddle bacon grease because you already cooked all the bacon, and get them going that way, and kind of just finish them for people as they want them. And then, or if you want, they start cooking too much, you can throw them back in the water and they're not going to overcook or burn or anything like that. So put a little water on there for the hot dogs, and it kind of gives you options of how you want to serve them up. Number 6 is coney sauce or beans, and just using a pot on your griddle. So you can again use the crock pot like I mentioned earlier, or if you want to just warm up some coney sauce, that's a nice little extra touch for your cookout. You can put that on the griddle. You can put some beans on there. That could also go in a crock pot. Either way works. Or like processed cheese. Maybe you want to put some like processed cheese out there and try to throw that on some dogs or some burgers or something crazy like that. Or coney and processed cheese. That sounds like it's gonna be a rough next day, but it does also sound delicious. So feel free to throw a pot on your griddle if you'd like. Spice up your buns, which brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Aunt Millie's. They have a ton of different buns to choose from. They have their classic hamburger bun, they have Hawaiian, they have a wheat one. I went with onion. I went with the onion bun, which is a great choice. Also, for hot dogs, same thing. They got their traditional hot dog, but then they got a Johnsonville Broughton sausage one for their hot dog. But I went with the top cut white hot dog because what you can do is toast it. So you can pull them apart. I use mayo, you could use butter, but then you can use your griddle. Again, you're kind of utilizing something that the griddle can do that a grill can't, and you're toasting your hot dog buns and your hamburger buns. And it's nice because when you pull these ones apart, you can toast both sides, and it really takes your hot dog to a next level. So I would really recommend getting those top cut hot dog buns from Aunt Millie's if you can. They're great on the griddle. Your grease cup in the back, you could, maybe you're not used to doing this many people cooking for, 15, 20, whatever. Just keep in mind that if you throw down a bunch of burgers and you do the bacon and stuff, that your grease cup in the back could overflow and you might want to get new liners. So something to think about, because normally if you just cook for 2 or 3, you don't get that much grease even when you're doing a pound of bacon. Number 9, you may need a higher temp once you get a lot of food on the griddle. So like in this cook, I was using it as an example here. I've got the bacon already and the onions, and I got 8 burgers and 8 dogs, and I have the coney sauce. So there's like a lot of stuff on the griddle. So normally I don't go over medium to medium high. I like to stay around 400 for my general cooking, but by the time you fill this griddle up, you're probably gonna have to get all 4 burners on high. So just kind of keep that in mind, that if you're used to cooking for 2 or 3 or 4 and you don't really have to turn it up too much, this will be the day you need to do that. Also, I'd like to touch on frozen burgers. I've done 12 frozen burgers on my griddle, no problem. But I put those on there around 350, or I had like medium, low. I put all of them on there, and then I slowly turn up the temperature. What you don't want to do is get the griddle smoking hot, nothing on there, just like all of them on high, and then throw down 12 frozen burgers. The temperature jump from like smoking hot to frozen, that's how it could warp. That's how I warped mine. It was a Camp Chef. I mean, I don't know about other brands, and it went back, it was fine, but I warped it. I had it on high, nothing on there, 500 plus degrees, came out with it wasn't frozen burgers, but it was a 10-pound or a 5-pound log of partially frozen beef I was making for prep. And when I threw that on there, it was too much of a jump, and it warped up one side, and then it went back. So you can do frozen burgers, and you might eventually have to go to high, but I wouldn't crank it to high right off the bat. I'd still start on medium and just work your way up as you add more food. And finally, if you're doing smash burgers, you're doing last. We kind of went over this already, that you're doing your meat last. But if you are doing smash burgers and not traditional burgers, which I totally understand why, that's something, again, the griddle can do that other things can't. So if you want to show it off, that's cool. Just, it's absolutely last. I would get those hot dogs done and put them inside, whether it's your oven or a crock pot or whatever. Get everything else off the grill. If you did bacon, onions, get them off the griddle. Get this thing on high, let everybody go through and get their plate, and just be like, you're gonna come to me and get your smash burger off the griddle. It cooks so fast, I have nowhere to put them. I'm gonna do them like 6 at a time. I don't usually do more than 6 because I get overwhelmed easily. 6 at a time, and just wait in line for a fresh off the griddle smash burger, rather than trying to do 12 smash burgers, which I've done that too before. It just becomes a lot and I get stressed. So just tell people, hey, I got the dogs and stuff in there. You can start with that. If you want a smash burger fresh off the line, come over here. It's literally going to take me 3 minutes to do up 6 of them. And then, you know, you can just hand it to them right off the line. They can have their bun already with their bacon on there and just slide them a double smash burger. And it's not going to get any fresher than that, you know. I hope this was helpful. If you want to see my smash burger video, it's on your screen now, going over my basics. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one and keep on griddling.